Rock Titan fans, I am here with Martin Sweet of the punk metal band Sister out of Stockholm, Sweden. Martin, thank you so much for your time, man. How you doing?
Good, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, no, dude, it's my pleasure. We were talking about it a little while ago. We first met 4 years ago. I know you don't remember me because, there's just too much going on in your life, and, it's probably hard enough to remember what town you're playing in when you're playing. But at that point,
Sometimes, yeah.
yeah, man. So at that point, you were with Crash Diet, and looking back, I hadn't heard of Sister at that point. So were you playing with Sister and Crash Diet at the same time?
No, I've been playing with them since January of this year.
Okay, all right. So fairly new.
So I kind of just jumped on the train and we recorded an album and
Okay,
everything that comes along with it. So,
okay, all right. How's that been going, man?
it's been going very well, actually. I mean, the recording process of the album went pretty smooth, you know.
Yeah. Now talk to me about that. So Stand Up, Forward March. That's your
Yeah.
newest album release.
hmm
How's the reception been to that so far?
I actually haven't read any reviews yet.
No, no.
Not
Well, how do you
not
feel
in
about it?
English.
Well, okay. So as opposed to, of
Um,
course, you're over in Sweden, which the rock metal scene over there. I don't want to snub my fellow Americans, but from everything I've heard from everyone, the scene over there is a lot more dynamic. It's a lot more, I would say, popular where you are over there in Europe and Sweden than it is over here. What's your take on that?
well, I think that's the case. I mean, there's all these hard rock festivals.
Right.
The Sweden Rock, I think, says it all.
Right. Right.
It's like one of the biggest festivals in Europe, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bands that have had great success abroad.
Yeah.
Swedish bands.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys are really cranking it out over there, man. I'm
Uh,
loving it.
Something with the water here.
Yeah, it must be, must be. That's where my family's from. The Johnsons actually came over from Sweden back in the early 1900s. So
Oh, nice.
my foundation, I'm Swedish, man. So
Ah.
but unfortunately, I don't know any of the language. I'm totally ignorant, unlike you, which obviously you're fluent in at least two languages. So
Yeah.
now, do you speak any languages other than Swedish and English?
Well, they taught me German in school, but
Okay.
I forgot most of it.
Okay, all right. Now let me ask you. So, Sister, obviously, that is the band you're with now. You were with Crash
Yeah.
Diet, one of the founding members for a long time. How would you compare, I guess, the style you're playing now, punk metal, versus Crash Diet? It was a different sound. For you, was there any kind of transition involved? Did you have any particular, I don't know, was your passion for music any more leaning toward the style you had with Crash Diet versus what you're doing with Sister, or do you see more similarities or differences, I guess?
um, I think I see more similarities.
Yeah.
They're just a bit faster and heavier.
Okay.
And I guess the big difference is that I'm playing bass.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to ask you, man, because
So,
I seem to remember you playing with six strings last time.
Only four strings.
Yeah, right. So how much of a transition is that for you? Now, I've heard a lot of different things.
I've always played the bass on my demos, and so
Okay.
I'm pretty used to it. So that wasn't a hard transition at all.
Okay. Now, speaking of transition, you meant going from, guitar to bass, which for you isn't very difficult. Another thing that I'm thinking probably wasn't very difficult either is the fact that you're the producer, for a lot of the music that you make.
Yeah.
What's that like working on the production side versus just being the artist?
Well, actually, on the Sister album, we had a producer, so I took a step back.
Okay. But
I
some of the
was kinda
previous work.
relaxing.
Okay, all right. So do you find it less stressful, I guess, just being able to focus on the music versus the production side of it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to be producing a band, and it's a lot of negotiations.
Right.
You have to be a strong person.
Right. Well, I know some artists, they like to be really hands-on, so it's like, yeah, of course you're making the music, but to have some kind of influence and control over the direction and how things get done. You know, sometimes they like to have that, but for you, it's a little bit better to be a little more hands off and just focus on the music.
Well, on this album, it was. I mean, I've always been super involved in the Crash Diet albums, but I mean, Sister had written most of the songs before I started in the band. So
right.
It was. I mean, I didn't have so much to say about those songs, and I've been involved in a few, like 1 or 2 songs on the album.
Okay. Now, Stand Up Forward March. This is your 5th album as Sister, even though you weren't involved in previous releases. This is this 5th album. Is that correct?
It's their 3rd album.
Oh, 3rd album. Okay, so there were a couple of EPs in there, or LPs rather.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
Two more. There's 2 studio albums before. I guess 1 EP, and then there's a few demos circling around with, more Crash Diet-ish look.
yeah. Now, I do want to touch on one thing, because one of the things that I loved about Crash Diet was your official music videos. Very theatrical, very well done. I mean, it was really like a short film. I mean, they were pretty killer. And of course, you've got your new single that just came out. And you've got a video for Carved in Stone. Tell me a little bit about that.
I don't know exactly what the song's about, but it's about someone very destructive, I guess.
Who's that in the background? Did I just hear a baby crying?
Yeah, that's my daughter.
Yeah? Look at you! Oh my gosh! So there has been quite a new things in your life since the last time you and I got to talk.
Yeah.
So how's balancing being a father and a rocker, man? How's that going?
I mean, the last few weeks have been quite stressful because yesterday we had a show with both Crash Diet and my solo band, Sweet Creature.
Okay. Wow. So you've got multiple projects going on. So you're still playing with Crash Diet?
No.
Oh no. Okay.
It was a tribute for like a tribute festival for
okay.
Dave Leppard.
Okay. All right. Very cool.
Restless Lease Festival.
Okay. All right.
But I've been like rehearsing with a lot of bands,
nice.
Including Sister.
Nice.
So it's a lot of stress on the family.
Yeah. No, I can imagine.
But I'm trying to get better.
That's very cool. Now, so Sister got picked up by Metal Blade Records.
Yeah.
Why Metal Blade? Did you have any influence into that decision to sign with Metal Blade? Tell me about that process when you guys decided to get on board with them.
I wasn't.
So this was before you came on board. They were already with Metal Blade when you came on.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the 3rd album with Metal Blade. So.
Okay. All right. So
they started out in 2006, so they've been
right,
and then they got signed in 2010.
Okay.
So they've been working quite hard before that.
Okay. All right. What's your feeling about record labels? Because I know a lot of bands, some of them like to be independent. Like they like to self-manage themselves. I know that's something you're accustomed to in the past. What are some of the feelings that you have about being independent versus being under the guise of a record label?
Oh, very mixed feelings.
Yeah. Well, without incriminating yourself, I guess let's stay positive. Let's not focus on any of the negatives. Let's stay positive. What would you say are some of the positives about being independent versus being with a record label today? Because obviously being with a record label today is not what it was 15, 20 years ago. Not the same thing.
No, exactly. Well, it wasn't even the same 10 years ago.
Well, okay, fair enough. Yeah, right.
I mean, when Crash Diet got signed, they like were throwing money on us, and doing these big productions, and that's not really happening anymore.
Right.
But I mean, label like Metal Blade still has money,
right?
But not as much. But
sure.
So I think the good thing is that they have this huge network.
Okay.
That would take years to collect if you're a independent artist.
Sure.
but as an independent artist, there's so many ways to like promote an album and record and everything. The technology is so out there now, so it's pretty easy to do it yourself.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But it's just it's a lot of work because I've been doing it the same with my solo album,
Right.
that just came out, and it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's like insane, and you know, it's not a lot of music. It's just sitting in front of the computer.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, I mean, it's funny because technology obviously makes it a lot easier to do a lot of those things, you know, from a musician's perspective. And at the same time, I wouldn't even be talking to you right now, you know. So, I mean, it's pretty amazing. You know, in terms of touring, in terms of travel, obviously, I caught up with you when you were coming through the United States a few years back. Had you ever been to the United States before on tour, and have you been back since you were here with Crash Diet?
We did some short runs, like mini tours.
Okay.
2011 and 12, I think.
Okay.
Before we did this massive tour with Crucified Barbara.
Right.
Yeah, so we did like the Whiskey Go Go and, you know, a few cool places at the west and east coast.
Right.
Just to like give a hint.
Yeah. Now, is there any talk about you guys coming back over here now? Or is Sister going to be coming through the United States anytime soon?
Not that I know of, but I really hope so. I mean, it's we've really grown as a live act, and I think America needs some of this stuff. You know, I
could not agree with you more.
What's the majority of the music of the hard rock scene over there? It's not very much classic rock, is it?
Not really so much, and I mean, in the ones you do, kind of, it's more classic rock because they've been playing for the last 30 years, you know. I mean, so in terms of new bands, you know, and new brands, no, I mean, to your point, the style is a lot different. You know, you've got all these different genres of metal. You know, it's like new metal, progressive metal, heavy metal, death metal, you know, it's just like, my God, you know, like whatever happened to good old-fashioned rock and roll. And that's one of the things I really like about Sister's sound, you know, so, you know.
I think that's true. It's a lot of like classic rock style, but it's mixed with the new stuff.
Yeah. So
and I think, I mean, all these older bands are making these stadium tours, and I mean, they must need some younger bands doing similar stuff.
Yeah, man. So I mean, so this is Rock Titan's mission, you know, to provide as much an audience, to provide as much publicity for bands like Sister as possible, to get you guys out there, not just headlining for these, you know, bands packing arenas, but to be the main feature. You know, we want you guys to be out there. We want you to be the band that everyone's coming out to see, with other bands opening up for you.
Yeah.
You know, that's the plan, right? You know? So, what's next for Martin Sweet?
Well, we're leaving on in 2 weeks. We're leaving for a European tour with Sister.
Okay, all right.
So it's about 3 weeks.
Nice.
Then it's we come home in time for Christmas.
All right, there you go. Where do you start out with your European tour?
In Germany.
Okay.
There's quite a few German gigs, and then there's like Italy.
What a tough life, man. That sucks.
No, I can't come up with towns there, but there's a gig in London, and there's Denmark, and there's, I think Spain was in there.
Okay.
Too. So there's, very intense 3-week tour.
All right.
But I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, of course, we're going to be promoting everything you've got going on with Sister. But since I'm talking with the man, Martin Sweet, you know, I would like to promote some of your solo stuff too. So in terms of, you know, your fans that want to go out and check out all your work, where's the best places they can go to see what you got going on?
I have I have a Martin Sweet Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
I post about all the bands
Okay.
if you want to get everything.
Okay. All right.
But other than that, it's like Sweet Creature is my solo
Yeah.
Sweetcreature.org.
Very cool.
And of course, crashdiet.org.
All right. Awesome. Well, Martin, I know time is sensitive and you've got a lot going on, but it's been great catching up with you again. I really appreciate your time, and I can't wait to share all the work you have going on with Sister and Sweet Creature with our audience. And like I said, get back to the guys because we want Carved in Stone on Rock Titan TV, man.
Yeah. Cool. Nice talking to you, man.
All right, man. You too. Take care.
All right.
Later.